The press conference for UFC 229 was just a few days ago, and it was interesting to say the least.
Ask these nuts.
I shit in bus. If you have questions, ask.
No, not because of that. Because of this.
You took money from Nurmagomedov. Hold on, you took money. You took money from Nurmagomedov.
And he posts a picture of Kadyrov on his Instagram site.
Conor kept saying these names.
Nurmagomedov, Ali Abdelaziz.
Kadyrov.
But who was he talking about? What was Conor saying? And more importantly, what was Khabib hiding? I had to know more. So I started digging. And I kept digging until I figured it out. Now I know exactly what Conor was talking about. So let me tell you about the shady men surrounding UFC champion Khabib Nurmagomedov and their dangerous ideas. But real quick, before we start this video, if it's before the fight, go down in the comments right now and type your prediction. If it's after the fight, go down in the comments section and look at people's predictions and make fun of everybody that was wrong. I'll give my prediction at the end of the video, but for right now, let's look at the first name on our list. Khabib Nurmagomedov. This dude is a Dagestani billionaire, and he's the guy Khabib says discovered him and his talents. He's the head of a company called Huma Group, and with it he's invested billions of rubles in things ranging from construction, energy, fuel. He owns a fucking grain company, and at one time tried to buy shares of the UFC. But this Magomedov guy doesn't just invest in these massive companies. Magomedov is invested in Russian politics and closely tied to Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. A lot of people want Medvedev's job. Namely, oil tycoon and President Putin's right-hand man, Igor Sechin. Sechin wants to ruin Medvedev's reputation by attacking his biggest supporter's credibility. So in early 2018, Magomedov gets hemmed up for embezzling 2.5 billion rubles, that's $37 million. But this dude is so rich, he offers to pay twice that as bail for he and his brother. But the judge says no. Magomedov and his brother stay in jail, while the Russian court system starts snatching up other people connected to Magomedov, including a few of his bodyguards that are now accused of trying to kill a Sambo athlete in 2017. Now, how true are any of these allegations? Who knows? Russian politics are weird, and it's both equally possible that Magomedov is being set up as it is that he did all of these things that he's being accused of now. It's really hard to tell either way, but let's be clear. This dude is doing exactly what everyone else in that system is doing. He's not a standout case of anything, and the court's motivation behind his arrest smells of bullshit. Okay, so that's the first of Khabib's connections. A Russian billionaire who's on trial for embezzling and potentially extorting and maybe even having a few people murdered. Don't worry, I'll explain where this is going, just sit tight. Next we have this man, Ali Abdelaziz. This dude is one of the slimiest worms in the entire fight business. You hear what Conor says right here?
My terrorist snitch.
He calls him a terrorist. Why, you ask? Well, because he fucking is. Ali Abdelaziz is a former member of American Islamic jihadist group called Muslims of America, a cell of the larger Islamic extremist group Jamaat al-Fuqra.
Jamaat al-Fuqra is an international terrorist organization with operations in the United States that predate 9/11 by more than 20 years.
Fuqra is directly responsible for more than 3,000 terrorist attacks and assassinations worldwide, including an attempted car bombing in Toronto in 1991. And this Ali guy, who manages a number of MMA fighters, including Khabib, Rafael dos Anjos, and Fabricio Verdum, he was a member of this terrorist organization. And in the early 2000s, he turned into an FBI informant until he was suspected of still working for his jihadi network. And at some point he met Magomedov, who introduced him to Khabib and a whole slew of other Russian MMA fighters.
2012, I have tape where he told me he only had 3 fighters that he managed. And now he manages at least 50 guys in the UFC and I think 100 fighters.
Then Magomedov paid him to represent those fighters and potentially gave enough money to pay a certain gym owner to let nearly all these fighters train out of his gym. But that's not all. There's more to Ali's story, and to be honest, it's just not my story to tell. It's confusing, and not all the information regarding Ali's past is well known, so if you're interested in knowing more, there's a link in the description of this video. But for now, I think we got enough to say that Ali and Magomedov are bad dudes, with dangerous connections to dangerous people. But speaking of bad dudes, there's still one more person we haven't looked at. We know who found Khabib. and funded his training. We know who markets Khabib and gets him fights. We don't know why these guys have focused so strongly on getting Khabib into the spotlight. See, it can't be for money. One dude is a billionaire and on the board of the Hyperloop. The other dude has made millions by scamming organizations into overpaying for underwhelming fighters.
He was working as a matchmaker for World Series of Fighting, which was kind of like a B or a C league compared to the UFC. He was sitting at both ends of the table. He was negotiating for his guys, and it would always seem that his guys always got the best amount of money. So, you know, for example, I talked to a fighter who made $7,000 to show and $7,000 to win against one of his fighters that made $36,000 and $36,000. And this $7,000 fighter won. So
then why are they so heavily invested in the success of Khabib? Well, that's when our third name comes into play. And this dude is worse than Magomedov and Ali combined.
The head of the Chechen Republic, Ramzan Kadyrov.
He was once accused of beating a prisoner with a shovel handle before executing him.
Ramzan Kadyrov. This dude's human rights record is fucked. He's been accused of torture, kidnapping, murder, and in 2017 he was accused of starting a prison for gays in an attempt to kill every gay in Chechnya.
Abduction and torture of gay men in the Republic. What, Mr. President, do you want to say about that?
Вот сейчас, почему он приехал, пришел к тому, да, вопросу, это ерунда.
He has death squads. In 2006, when a former commander in his army called him a medieval tyrant, Kadyrov sent 50 policemen to kill him. In 2009, he had his former bodyguard killed in Vienna for cooperating with the New York Times. He's also been accused of overlooking the rapes, tortures, kidnapping, murders committed by his paramilitary forces. Shit, if I tried to outline every single thing this guy's been accused of doing, this video would be several hours long. So let's leave it at this. Ramzan Kadyrov is a hateful, power-hungry dictator, and Khabib is pals with him. The two are training together, laughing. But why? What would these three men, a Russian billionaire, a Middle Eastern jihadist, and a Chechen dictator, want with a mountain-dwelling MMA fighter? Well, for Ali, Magomedov, and Kadyrov, Khabib is clout. Khabib is a Russian superstar, and by connecting yourself to him, the Russian public might see you in a better light. This isn't a new phenomenon either. In 2012, Vladimir Putin would drag MMA legend Fedor Emelianenko out and have him say great things about Putin. No, really. Fedor is considered to be the thing that tipped the public opinion about Putin into the positive and helped him solidify his presidential win. And this using popular fighters to gain clout isn't something new to Kadyrov either. He had Mike Tyson in his country for a while, paraded him around, put on a big show, pretended like they were best of pals. Even more recently, Kadyrov had Floyd Mayweather Jr. at his house for dinner. The dude followed him around posting videos of Floyd to his fucking Snapchat. His personal Snapchat. Kadyrov doesn't give a fuck about Tyson, Mayweather, or Khabib. He's using their fame to enrich his public image in Russia. I suspect that before going to prison, Magomedov intended on using Khabib to do the same thing for Medvedev. Look at this guy. Look at Steven Seagal here. What? Oh. See, this dude throwing down, okay? He knows the dance. What the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing? And then he bows. And you can bet that Ali is helping them both. I mean, any fight fan can tell you there's a weird number of fighters found posing in photos with Kadyrov, and almost all of them are managed by Ali. With all this, it makes you wonder, does Khabib know that he's just a puppet? Does Khabib think that any of these men wouldn't turn on him as soon as he loses? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that a European dictator that supported a fighter threw him in the trash after a loss. Former boxing heavyweight champion and German, Max Schmeling, is the best example of that. Hitler used Schmeling's notoriety as a fighter to boost his own public image, but when Schmeling lost his second contest to Joe Louis, Hitler decided Schmeling was of no use to him anymore and shipped him off to the front line of just some war that was going on at the time. I don't remember what it was called. Schmeling would later say that he resented the Nazi ideology, but had no other choice than to feign support or possibly die. Is that what Conor is talking about when he says this?
Pull out, and then you know what's gonna happen to you back home, kid.
Is that what Khabib is talking about when he says this?
In between all that,
You know this, officer.
Now let's think about it. Khabib's just a guy from the mountains who grew up doing combat sports because his dad wanted to keep him away from the gangs and rebels that run their country. He's a humble person that has expressed before that money doesn't matter to him, neither does fame. So why would he involve himself with these people? Well, how could he say no? If a guy came up to you and said he could fund your dreams no matter the cost, and all you have to do is rub elbows with politicians, would you ask him for his tax papers to make sure he's not a crook? Would you ask your manager why you're getting paid more than fighters with bigger names, figuratively? Would you tell a murderous dictator of an Eastern European country that you don't want to take pictures with him because people think he's mean? Fuck no, you wouldn't. And fuck no, Khabib wouldn't. He's from a shack on the side of the mountain. He doesn't understand shit about politics, and he probably doesn't care. He wants to fight. So when Conor says,
Why you took money from Nurmagomedov?
Khabib replies,
Hold on, you took money. Of course.
Because he knows he had no other choice than to attach himself to people with dangerous ideas. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Comment down below if you think Khabib is being exploited by these guys, or if you think he knows and doesn't care, or if you think that it's just a matter of coincidence that they all happen to be tied to politics. Don't forget to make your predictions for the fight. I think Khabib takes it in 5, but if you're watching this after the fight and I'm wrong, make sure you go down in the comments and let me know how dumb I am. Or if I'm right, you can tell me how super smart and cool I am. If you want to be super smart and cool like me, you could like this video, click the subscribe button for more content like this. You join my Patreon like these people have, all very nice people. Or, you know, you could do all 3. I would prefer you did all 3. Actually, fucking do all 3. I'll have my own Russian death squad come and fucking kill you.
Летит по небу клин усталый, летит в туман.